Well, let's hope this is less bother than that Amstrad. What have we got today? What we have got is a meeting with the vicar in 20 minutes. I wonder what our lady vicar wants. So, what's it going to be in a parcel this shape? Well, it's going to be one of the highest quality hand radio and portable radios that ever hit the UK market. Back in 1983, we had the replacement for the Realistic 1001, the 1005. Now these have a troublesome thing with their printed circuit board, just like the predecessor did, because they use a printed circuit board that's double-sided, but it's not plated through, it's linked through with pins. What have we got in here? What on earth's this? You can't use this on that. He sends a 6-volt 500 milliamp unregulated mains adapter. It's got nothing whatsoever to do with that radio. It's not suitable. It needs to be 12 volts at 1 amp. Hello? Is that how he's powering it? I think we'll be emailing him. What's wrong with taking the power through the proper socket? Because if you do that, you're going to end up with no filtering. Oh dear. I have to ask, we can make him up a power lead which includes 3 diodes, so we can run it off the car's cigarette lighter. Because this is a 12 volt radio and you need to drop about 1.5 volts, so really you need to put 3 diodes in series to make a El Cheapo dropper. Well, that looks in nice condition inside. So what we'll need to do is to find a suitable connector. I may as well just make a power lead, to be honest. I think that's what we'll do. And then if he wants to buy that power lead, he can. Right, we'll get on with that, and I'll keep an eye on that time. Okay, so we're back. It's now 7 o'clock. I went to the meeting, the vicar, she says, I wonder if you want a wage increase when we come back properly. I says, no, we're all right as we are, thank you. So, that's sorted that one out. Now, what Mr. Chippy's done, whilst we were doing other things, he's made up this power lead. There's the open circuit diode off that Amstrad. I said to him, right, I want you to put 3 diodes in there. So we've got the right connector to go into the extension. What's it? If I switch my power supply on, or before I apply it, I'm going to get the meter and I'm going to show you something. everybody's going to want one of these. So if I connect this to my cigarette lighter socket, which is connected to the power supply, my power supply says 13.7 volts on it. And so where we are, 13.7 volts, yep. Especially if it's in camera. There we are. So if I plug this plug into there, let's see what we've got coming out of here. Oh look, 12.7 volts, because the 3 diodes have dropped more than a volt. And because it's a 12 volt radio, it means it's now safe to operate from a cigarette lighter of a car. Okay, so it says battery low on the radio, and that's indicative that the radio has got a problem with its voltage regulator, because we know it isn't low voltage because I've applied 12.7 there. So that's today's dead giveaway. And if it's in battery low mode, these radios will not go into transmit. If I go into transmit, nothing's going to happen. It's drawing 40 milliamps, 50 milliamps. It tries to draw 90 milliamps in that mode. Let's go to low power. Just in case it does transmit, I'll connect it to the test set. So we've got the Motorola adapter, which also fits phono. Just put that into the external antenna socket. Just like that. And if we switch select picture in picture and I press transmit, we have no transmit because it's in low power mode. So if I need to dig out the service manual, but I might be able to, there are 2 voltage regulators, but what this usually is a dry joint. Now you've got these are plated through. I suppose this is bound to be a live chassis. I'm not talking about old televisions. This is bound to be a negative chassis, he says. So these are potentially suspect. So I'm going to put the soldering iron on. We'll just pop this board out. But whilst ever it says battery low, it isn't going to do anything. So we'll power it back up without the display. Now we've uncovered other potential dry joints. I can see it's been gone through before, the fact these are soldered like that. But we've got one up there. I've just moved the camera across a bit. Oops, that was a bit too far across. So just there, is potentially a classic dry joint between the tracks. So I'll switch the radio on. try not to melt anything. So I'll switch it back on. And that's certainly not brought it back. But it's going to be something as stupid as that. So anyway, I'll have a look for a dry joint or two and we'll get back to you. So I'm now at the other side of the LC7137 synthesizer chip. We've taken off the shield plate that lives there. So one of these troublesome plated through holes is there. Bit messy there. That's a wicked dry joint there. They look alright. Right. Let's see whether it does anything now. Put the camera back to its normal position. Okay, so we've got transmit and we've got a channel 73125. So 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Count them up. There we are. We're now on channel 20. So I want to, the first thing we'll do is put it on frequency while we've got the lid off the thingy. That's the VCO lid in English. So I'm on low power for safety. 2779117, so it's that preset. Right, we'll have to check that with the service manual before putting it to bed. Right, so what power are we getting on high power? These are a 3.5 watt radio, even despite them saying 4 on them. So at the moment we are getting 1 watt. So we'll just check the presets in the high position, because that's the power adjustment. Looks like it is. That's making proper contact. We're drawing 380 milliamps, so it does need to come up a bit. So I'm going to have to dig the service manual out. Have I got it in my plethora on here? It is possible. And the answer is no. Okay. Well, I better go and print one off then. So we do actually have it working. And let's see if it's receiving anything. Right, so we've got the frequency there. That's really, really deaf. it's so deaf it makes me wonder if the aerial's actually connected properly. Yeah, it's really poor. You know, with it being low on transmit and poor on receive, you start to think if the aerial connection's dodgy. If it isn't, so if we put the earth on there, it's exactly the same on the rod antenna. That really is lousy. Unless it's had all the coils twaggled. I'm going to start by looking at receive before we start printing manuals off. So I need to connect up the test instruments to the extension speaker jack in the top there. And if we look at the oscilloscope, that's awful. I think that's going to be the detector. It can't do 12 decibel cyanide for any amount of signal. Let's have a quick run through this. I don't know if they're transmit or receive, it really doesn't matter. Well, that's obviously received. Let's just go over to the cyanide meter. Yeah. So having tuned that up a bit, we'll go back to the detector. So that's 10 microvolts. And the thing just has got such poor signal to noise ratio that we're, about 8 decibel cyanide regardless of what signal you put in. Makes me wonder if we've got a Duff filter. Let's go through transmit quickly without the manual. And it's not like those have been messed with. For those of you wanting to get the kit, we bought some of these from America for quite a lot. And one of the regular commenters on this channel, Mike, has bought one from America for a lot of money. That's not the right one, is it? You need the green tool for a lot of sets. So the Velleman 54103-29212-902, 54103-2921902. So that's one source of those. Can't remember whether it's the white one or the yellow one for these. See. So we're now at 1.5 watts, which is getting to be acceptable. What are we on low power? 120 milliwatts, something like that. It's a pity those presets are in such a really awkward position. Let's put the bench light back on. And see if we can get more than 1.5 watts out of it. Oh yes, we can. So we've managed to crank that up, and I'll just go through these once again. Oh, there she blows. We've got 3 watts there. So I'll change scales now. Yep, 3 watts. I think we're there. Yeah, so I mean 3 watts for a 3.5 watt set sounds alright to me, and on the stipulated 12 volts. So I think we're going to leave it at that for today, and we'll have to look at why the receive's so lousy tomorrow. Just go back to that. Have we changed channel? Moving forward to the next day, I thought we'll look into this receiver situation. And when I come to look straight away, look what I saw. See if we can go in a bit closer. The printed circuit board has snapped away from the soldered point to the chassis, and it's actually cracked. It's taken the print with it. We've got no print continuity there, so I'm going to have to take the shield plate off and see what we can see underneath there. So hopefully I've done a bit of unsoldering. We'll try and part it. That's one. It's good fun putting these back as well. So we'll see how lucky we are or how unlucky we are under there. Quite sure what we're going to do about that, but what there is a wicked dry joint under the shield plate. Just there. Right, so we'll go back to the normal camera position. So if I can push the printed circuit board back, there won't be a loss of continuity, but I've no doubt that it's got one of the reasons it's performing funny, shall we say, is going to be part of this. Let's have a look of continuity. So that's that side and that's that side. So we have got continuity, but you've got this break, so it's got to find its earth through perhaps that screw. It's just not ideal if that cracks. Good grief, that must have been used as a hammer. So what we need to do here is to scrape away the print and put some wire between there and chassis. I'm glad this was working off eBay, but you know, working to eBay, and I'm not blaming vendors necessarily, because a lot of vendors will not be able to test beyond switching something on and it lighting up. And if you can imagine being demonstrated a power supply with a neon mains indicator, and they go, look, it works because it lights up, you can imagine that there is no electronics between the neon indicator. It is no proof at all. So it's not a matter just of a solder blob, it's actually got to have a wire put in. Now there's a bit of wire which has been previously soldered into this battery case, and that's scary that they've probably powered it off 12 volts. So we can get rid of that, because this customer, it's nothing to do with them. Get rid of it. I think it's been used on a motorbike, to be honest. And what it means is nobody's used the battery compartment. Why on earth has somebody used cable capable of about 10 or 12 amps on a radio that doesn't draw more than 850 milliamps? No idea what they thought they were wiring up. I don't think I'd be using wire this thick on a 25 watt business radio. Okay, so that's got rid of that, and we're left with a never been used battery compartment. So that's at least one good thing. I think we'll use some of this wire to make that bridge, unless it's too thick. I do continue to have comments which would be good comments, but unfortunately the person commenting has mentioned something which isn't UK legal, and so there's no way I can. What it does, it puts it in a sandbox for me to approve, and I can't edit it, and I can't. I'd like to kind of say to the person, if you just edit this, we can let this very valid comment through. And one of those comments was, I've got a Cobra 148 GTL, can you put FM on it? Well, of course I can't, because it wouldn't be legal, and that's why the comment didn't go through. So I'm not quite sure. You know, when we say this is FM UK CB radio, it's not some cover for some hidden thing that we do. That's what we do. So the answer is we don't do anything that isn't UK legal. Use that big screwdriver to push that. Okay, so that's really the best I can achieve, and so you can see what we've done. The board's come away there, it's snapped the print away, so we've gone well beyond with the thick piece of wire, well beyond with a thick piece of wire, pushed the board physically back and soldered it. These are industrial soldering irons. You do need soldering irons with quite some power behind them to solder to the steel. So job's a good un. We'll power it back up and probably find that we've fixed it worse, because I like saying that phrase. So I'll switch the power supply back on. Tell you what, it's nice and warm. That's power. That's antenna. And whatever it's transmitting on, whatever it's receiving on, it isn't receiving. It's receiving on channel 40. So we've actually got back one of the faults we had yesterday. And that is that it's not selecting the channels, it's always on channel 40. So I thought I'd cleared the dry joint which was causing that, but clearly haven't. And this is what you're up against. So it's actually on channel 40. So we're going to have a dry joint. Somewhere which takes the power to the channel selector switch. Because when the matrix that this generates, is it 6? I think it's 6 wires come out of the channel selector switch. If it's 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, then it selects channel 40. So if you've got no logic high to the channel selector switch, it will select channel 9. It will select channel 40. So we have got. What I'm going to do, because I don't want to look at that now, I want to concentrate with the receiver because that's where I've been working. We'll just set the signal generator to channel 40. So I'll do that. There we go, channel 40. And we'll put that oscilloscope on. So we've still got that horrible waveform. Because we now know it's been dropped, it's very possible the crystal filter's broken, and it's very possible the ceramic filter's broken. This is another set that's actually beyond economic repair. Let's see where the sensitivity is. I know it's optimised for channel 40. It's still deaf. Now it happens that we've got to scrap one of these, which is heartbreaking, but we bought it as a scrap set. And when you look at the underside of that, this is actually in better condition than the customer repair. But there you go. Could probably swap the good parts out of this onto that in about 6 hours. Which, if I'm charging 99 pence an hour, isn't much money. But for some reason, my garage up the road charges something like £56 an hour. So I don't quite get why that is. So I'm going to swap. We're going to swap the ceramic filter for a start, because that's the most. It's hard to get this to say this, but my experience is that's the most likely thing. Although theoretically you'd expect the crystal filter to be broken, but I don't want to change them both. I can't see any printed circuit board crack other than there. But repairing that has actually made no difference, which I find amazing. So I'll pause the video while we unsolder that ceramic filter. So I changed the ceramic filter, no improvement, so I'll put that ceramic filter in my jar of used components that work. Change the ceramic filter, change the crystal filter, and it's perfect. So that drop damage has destroyed the crystal. It doesn't shake or anything. So I pinch one out of that scrap chassis, and I'll be charging the customer a token £1 for that. We do have them new. But whilst there's a used one, he may as well benefit from that. So the sensitivity, although remember we optimise it on channel 20, the sensitivity now is exactly what we'd expect. Uh, 0.95 microvolts for 12 decibel cyanide. It will be a bit better in the centre and when we've gone through another retune. So back to camera 3, and we can now put S9 on and optimise the detector once and for all. Just change the volume a bit. There we are. What we do want to sort out is the fact it doesn't change channel, it's always on channel 40. So I thought I'd done that yesterday, as I say, but I'll look back into what's happening. Now, if I just take picture, yeah, what I've not switched picture and picture on, so it hasn't malfunctioned this time. I haven't switched it on. So there's our waveform for the detector, and there we have, when I go back to it, the cyanide meter reading 12 and it's 0.9 on the attenuator. So I'll just put picture in picture off for a moment. I've got a copy of the service manual here. So it's always on channel 40. Now what is the current supposed to be? Yeah, it's 3 watts, is supposed to be 3.5 watts, and your limit spec is 3 watts to 4 watts. And in low power, 0.1 to 0.4. I think it's doing 0.1 something or other. So it is on in spec. So as I was saying, if we look at the truth table for the VCO, the program code from the channel switch is, I thought it was 6, it is 6. 00000 selects channel 40. So the way these are designed on the LC7137 from Sanyo, with its double locked ROM, the way it's designed is if this gets a code which is not in this lookup table, then it assumes emergency and goes to channel 9. So sometimes you'll come across a set which is only working on channel 9, regardless of where you put the channel switch. And either the wiring between the channel selector switch and the printed circuit board, there's something amiss, or the channel selector switch is amiss, or the data pins on the chip, which is 1 through to 6, are open circuit because of something's happened, like reverse polarity or something. So we often come across a set which only selects channel 9, but the phase lock loop chip is destroyed, and that is one of the indicative things. It's designed as if there's an emergency, it goes to channel 9. Which, if people were really out there monitoring channel 9 like they perhaps once at one time, it would be a good idea. However, I digress. So you've put in a wrong code, it selects in channel 9, allegedly. So if we look at the circuit diagram, we've got 1 through to 6. I'll just zoom in on this. So 1 through to 6 is your channel selector switch. So we've got C, which is common, and we've got M, which is goodness knows what. So one of those is what's amiss. M or C. So I'll look into what's missing. So I might have got to the bottom of this. What I've done is to put the signal generator back on channel 20. Done through some of the soldering just there. But when I press on that through pin, it goes on to channel 20. So what we'll do is we'll try and unsolder and resolder. I don't want to just... the best technique is not to just add solder. And this is difficult to get the soldering iron down there. I'm going to have to bend those pins temporarily out of the way a bit. And as you can see down there, I'll zoom in so you can. You've got a kind of rivet that goes from one side of the board to the other. Let's see if we can see that on the other side. I'll disconnect the radio. So let's see where it is. There's one wire to where there's nothing goes in. Let's see whether it's that one there. No. Doesn't look like it is. Is it that one? No, it doesn't look like it is. Is it the one we can't get to down there? Nope. Or am I looking in the wrong place and it's that one there? That's definitely wire in that one, so we'll quickly solder that one back up. Potential dry joint just there. Is it that one? No, that's one of the pins. So what it's going to get is a good scraping. We'll use one of the test prods. Then hopefully with capillary action it will draw the solder in. I'll solder up these. And power it back up. Well, that doesn't seem to have done anything, does it? So we've still got the problem That's not a good dry joint either there. I think we're going to have to take the aerial out and look under the screen plate there. So with the screen plate out, gone through some more dry joints, and we've now got it on the right channel, and it's solidly on the right channel. So I think we'll start by seeing if we can put the lid on the VCO screening can. And I'll switch it off, bend those pins back, and see if we can put the LCD back. It no longer says back low, and we've got the battery meter now reading. So there we go. Now in the photograph, because I looked at this sale, I found it for sale on eBay. When he photographed it, it said bat, and I think there was 3 elements lit. So it was not doing what it's just done when the gentleman sold it. But because these sets suffer from dry joints, we can safely assume that that's happened in transit. I don't think that breakaway from the printed circuit board happened in transit. I think it's had that some time. But nevertheless, that's great news. So I'm just going to go through the alignment. I'm going to switch picture in picture on. There we go. And just run through and see if we can get, if we've got optimum. While I've got the manual here, I'll make sure I'm doing the right ones. So T1, 2, 3 and 5. One, 2, 3. Isn't there a better diagram than that? It's up there. 1, 2, 3 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. So with that fault present, when we had the crystal filter knackered, oops, let's get that out of it. We've tuned it up fine. Now I've disturbed 12 there. I'll just see what 12 does. It's the one you do with the spectrum analyzer. It's the second harmonic. That's the one you don't ever touch. Well, whilst the spectrum analyzer graces us with its presence, I'll put this screen plate back. Better put the antenna back before I pinch it for one of my sets. I mean, these aerials were $9.99 as a replacement item, even back when these were new in 1983. Then I'm going to have to put all the shield plates back on. But we'll just do this with the spectrum analyzer. So if I put in 54 megs on the spectrum analyzer, we're in picture-in-picture. We'll select the spectrum analyzer, and if I put in frequency of about 55 megs, let's say, that should be our centre harmonic. So that's the harmonic we're looking at. So we'll just see whether we can. There we are, we've got it. So it's minus 58 dBm. It's about minus 63 at that. So that's optimized. Right, I'll put the video to pause and we will try and put all the shield plates back on. One of the things I'm going to do is just check that the radio works from its battery compartment. So this time we'll put the crocodile clips on the red and black wires that go to the battery compartment and switch on. And the radio has come on. So it's not being powered from that socket now. It's powered from the battery compartment. So we know that that is wired. I very rarely put batteries in radios. At the end of the day, we're a trade supplier, and I think people really should be able to clean their own battery contacts, because that's all that can be wrong. And this one looks pristine. So we know that it works from there, so we can disconnect that. Now what I've noticed, I've put the shield plate back. I put all the shield plates back. And then I've discovered that the microphone, the wire's loose to it. And of course, it's under that shield plate, so I'm going to have to take that one back off again. So although I've gone through this carefully for dry joints, I never saw that one. And let's see, as I pick up the microphone, you can see that is a really bad dry joint. So we'll take the opportunity to probably not find a file on here. And the other wire has actually come off at the other end of the insert. So we've got that to solder back on. So again, the best course of action is to remove the old solder. Right, so we'll put the shield plate back on again. Right, so we've got it all back together. It just leaves now the deviation, which we didn't do. Well, I don't think we did. So we'll just go back to the normal meter. We'll just go back to the normal meter, thank you. And without looking at it, I'm sure that's deviation, and I think normally you have to have it at full. Wallow. Wallow. Yeah. Oh, it's gone in the other room, the little meter. Wallow. 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 Yep, so we haven't, I've put it to full because that's about 2.2 deviation. So if you look at that, wallow, 1, 2. Sometimes you find these work better on the external mic. So we just need to put this bobble back, which is the meter illumination button, which has come adrift, as you can well imagine. And we've got 0.89 microvolts. But they are selective, give it that. What's it supposed to do? Oh, it's quoted as 10 dB. There we go, that's 10. We're now getting 0.7 for 10 dB cyanide, and it's supposed to be, they'd like it to be 0.5, but you can let it go at 1. So we're well within that. I suppose we ought to just check the squelch works. It's not adjustable, but we can just check the squelch works. And like most walkie-talkies, it's pretty sensitive. It's not going to squelch out much above about S4. So there we are. These don't have an S meter. I don't know if I said that before. It's a battery meter, and then when you go into transmit, it becomes the RF output meter. And we've been running this, the whole thing on 12 volts, just over 12 volts, through the adapter we made. So hopefully we can put the lid on it. And I think it might actually line up if we put some screws in. Now, most of these screws are missing. That's definitely the bottom screw. Now we've got some scrap American sets, which we can use for parts. And that's just what we're going to do. I could have sworn, oh, there's the long one. That is a difficult one to replace if you lose it. No, it's not. I don't think it's quite lining up yet. So we'll get some screws in the side. One of the screws which was in the side isn't the right kind of screw, so we'll not bother putting that back. And I'll just see what we can rob off some scrap American stuff. So there you have it. Hopefully we'll get the. I'll tell you what. We'll put this on the aerial. It's no. We'll wait till we've lined up. I'm changing my mind as we talk. Right. Well, I managed to find a realistic American set, which was a 6-channel set, which was an identical case. It was a crystal controlled set. I don't know what the model number was, not interested. Something I bought at a Radio Rally. It had a full set of case screws. So I think we'll charge the customer 6p each for each of the 4 case screws. And let's see what happens when we put this on an aerial. Well, it's not often we get a conversation. Farmer's on channel 9.
1 3/4.
Somebody else on channel 10. 19er Roger.
23, mate.
19er Roger. Well, we've got more activity on that handheld than we usually do, so we'll do a scratchy corner test with Mr. Chippy later on, and I will use it on the internal microphone. I've not tried it with an external one, it hasn't come with one, but there's no reason to doubt that it doesn't work on an external mic. So there we go. Very extensive repair to a TRC1005, which was bought working on eBay. And the photos of it, as I said, showed it working a lot more than it was when it came to me. So thank you for watching.